My beloved brothers and sisters, when we speak about the reality that Allah is the best protector and defender, we are reminded that no matter how difficult life may become, no matter how many enemies rise against us, and no matter how much falsehood spreads about us, Allah's protection is sufficient. He is the one who sees what no one else sees, who knows the secrets of the hearts, and who defends his servants in ways far beyond human understanding. Often in life, when someone attacks us with their words, when lies are made about us, or when we are mistreated, our first instinct is to defend ourselves. We want to explain, to clarify, and to fight for our honor. But the truth is, when you leave your defense to Allah, it is always stronger, more effective, and more lasting than anything you could do with your own effort. Human defense is limited, but Allah's defense is unlimited. His knowledge is complete, His justice is perfect, and His timing is flawless. When you rely on Allah's defense, you submit to His plan. You say to yourself that you do not need to exhaust your energy trying to win every argument or silence every critic. Instead, you place your affairs in the hands of the one who controls hearts and outcomes. Think about this. Even if you succeed in proving yourself right before people, there will still be some who refuse to believe you. Some will still misjudge you. But if Allah defends you, He will open the hearts of people towards you. He will expose the falsehood of your enemies, and He will honor you in ways you never imagined. This is why trust in Allah's protection is not just a spiritual teaching, but a practical way to find peace in the middle of life's storms. In the Qur'an, Allah promises that He defends those who believe. This is a guarantee that no believer should ever doubt. If Allah has said that He will defend you, what power can harm you? What enemy can overpower you? What plot can destroy you? Nothing and no one. Because the Creator of all things has taken responsibility for you. Sometimes His defense comes in the form of protecting you from harm before it even reaches you. At other times, His defense comes in exposing the lies that people made against you, showing their true colors and proving your innocence without you saying a single word. And sometimes His defense is delayed. But when it comes, it is so powerful and so clear that no one can deny it. To truly appreciate Allah as the best protector, one must also accept that His way of defending us may not always look the way we expect. We may want immediate vindication, but Allah may choose to elevate us through patience. We may desire that people stop talking about us, but Allah may allow them to continue while He raises our status in His sight. We may pray for an instant solution, but Allah delays it because He wants to give us something far better in the end. His wisdom is beyond our imagination, and so His protection is always more perfect than our own attempts. Knowing that Allah is your defender should bring you inner peace. It should calm your heart when people wrong you. It should prevent you from becoming bitter when you are misunderstood. And it should remind you that you are never alone. Every tear that falls, every pain you feel, every injustice you suffered, Allah is aware of it, and He will defend you in due time. The world may be unjust, but Allah is never unjust. The people may not care, but Allah always cares. So when life places you in situations where your honor, dignity, or even safety feels threatened, do not be shaken. Turn to Allah, call upon Him sincerely, and remind yourself that He is the best protector and the best defender. Silence is often misunderstood as weakness, but in truth, it can be one of the strongest weapons a believer holds when faced with trials, false accusations, or hurtful words. There is a certain dignity and power in remaining silent when people expect you to argue back. When you choose silence in the face of provocation, it shows that your trust is not in your ability to debate or justify yourself, but in Allah's ability to reveal the truth in its proper time. Many times, our natural instinct is to rush into defending ourselves. We want to prove our innocence, explain our intentions, or silence those who speak against us. But what happens when people do not want to hear the truth? When their hearts are clouded with jealousy, hatred, or arrogance? In such cases, words do not change their perception, but silence protects your peace. By staying silent, you avoid falling into endless arguments that only waste your energy and steal your tranquility. Silence is not the absence of strength, it is the presence of wisdom. When a person wrongs you and you remain silent, you demonstrate that you are not dependent on their approval or their understanding. You are showing that your worth is not determined by their words, but by your relationship with Allah. This is a type of spiritual maturity where you value Allah's judgment more than the opinion of people. Your silence sends a message that you are above the petty battles of the tongue and that your heart is anchored in the remembrance of Allah. Even in the Qur'an, we find moments where silence was prescribed as a form of worship and trust in Allah's decree. This reminds us that silence is not emptiness, it is an act of faith. There is also a deep psychological strength in silence. When you do not respond to every attack, you rob your enemies of the satisfaction they seek. Many people speak against you simply to provoke a reaction, to draw you into conflict, or to see you lose your calm. But when you refuse to respond, you show them that you cannot be controlled by their negativity. Your silence becomes a shield, and instead of lowering yourself to the level of those who attack you, you rise above it. Often silence speaks louder than words, because it shows self-control, dignity, and a higher level of understanding. People may not always remember the arguments you made, but they will remember the grace with which you remained calm. Silence also creates space for Allah to act on your behalf. If you constantly try to defend yourself, you may interfere with the way Allah wants to defend you. But if you step back and hold your peace, you leave the matter entirely in His hands. This is an expression of tawakkul, true reliance on Allah. You acknowledge that He is more capable of dealing with your enemies, exposing lies and bringing justice than you ever could be. In that sense, silence is not passive, it is active surrender to Allah's wisdom. It is a declaration that you choose His protection over your own strategies. Moreover, silence allows you to preserve your heart from bitterness. When you engage in arguments, your heart can fill with anger, resentment, and frustration. But silence helps you remain calm, connected to Allah, and focused on your own growth rather than the faults of others. Instead of repeating their harsh words in your mind, you can fill your heart with remembrance of Allah, with dua, and with patience. Silence turns your energy away from proving yourself to people and towards proving your sincerity to Allah. So the next time someone wrongs you, mocks you, or spreads falsehood about you, remember that you do not need to answer every claim. Your silence is not defeat, it is strength. It shows that you trust Allah more than you trust your own words. It shows that your peace is not in their hands, but in His hands. It shows that you know truth does not need noise to stand. It only needs time and Allah's permission. When we look at history, one of the clearest lessons we learn is that Allah has always defended the righteous, and He has always exposed falsehood no matter how strong it appeared in the beginning. The lives of the prophets and those who followed them are full of examples where people plotted, lied, and harmed the innocent. Yet the truth always prevailed. This teaches us that when you are sincere, when you live with honesty and obedience to Allah, you never need to fear the attacks of people. They may speak against you, they may plan your downfall, but Allah's plan is always greater than theirs. He is the one who promises in the Qur'an that falsehood is bound to perish, while truth will always remain. If this is the law of Allah in creation, then every believer can find comfort in knowing that injustice cannot last forever. Think of how Prophet Yusuf, peace be upon him, was falsely accused, thrown into prison, and abandoned by people who should have supported him. For years, he suffered in silence, unable to defend himself against the accusations of the powerful. Yet Allah defended him. Allah cleared his name when the truth came to light, and He elevated Yusuf from the darkness of a cell to the honor of being a leader in Egypt. That is how Allah defends His servants. He takes them from disgrace to dignity in ways no human effort could achieve. This story is not just history. It is a reminder for you and me that when we are wronged and when we cannot clear our names, Allah's defense will eventually come, and when it does, it will be undeniable. Similarly, Prophet Musa, peace be upon him, faced a mighty tyrant in Pharaoh. Outwardly, Pharaoh had power, armies, and authority, while Musa stood with nothing but faith in Allah. Yet Allah defended him by splitting the sea, saving him and his followers, while drowning the oppressor and his army. The lesson is simple. Strength and authority without Allah are meaningless, but weakness with Allah becomes the greatest strength. History repeats this lesson over and over. Those who rely on their arrogance and power eventually fall, while those who rely on Allah rise even if the whole world seems against them. Even in the life of Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, We see how Allah defended him when he was mocked, insulted, and called names. His enemies claimed he was a liar, yet Allah revealed verses affirming him as the messenger of truth. They plotted to kill him, yet Allah protected him and allowed his message to spread across the world. If Allah defended his most beloved servants, then why would he not defend those who remain patient and trust in him today? The condition is sincerity, patience, and reliance upon him. History also teaches us that truth needs no loud defense, because Allah himself supports it. Falsehood often comes with noise, with power, with wealth, and with influence. But in time it crumbles. Truth may seem small and weak at first, but with Allah's support, it grows until it cannot be denied. This is why the believer must remain calm and steadfast. You are part of a chain of believers throughout history who were defended by Allah when they could not defend themselves. You do not need to panic when others attack you. You only need to remember that Allah's help is closer than you think. Reflecting on these examples should strengthen our faith. Whenever you face injustice, remind yourself of Yusuf in the prison, of Musa at the sea, and of the Prophet in Makkah. They all had moments when people thought they were defeated, but Allah's defense turned everything around. Let this be a source of comfort and patience for your own life. If Allah has defended the righteous in the past, He will defend you too, because His promise never changes and His justice never fails. When hardship strikes and people wrong you, one of the most powerful responses you can choose is patience supported by prayer. Arguments and anger may give temporary relief, but they do not solve the problem, and they often create more harm. Patience, on the other hand, connects you to Allah, keeps your heart steady, and allows you to rise above the noise of those who try to hurt you. Prayer keeps your soul anchored and reminds you that you are never alone in your struggles. When you combine patience with prayer, you place yourself under the special care of Allah, and His care is the greatest shield against every hardship. Patience does not mean you are helpless. It means you are strong enough to hold back when your emotions push you to react. It means you understand that the outcome is in Allah's hands, not in the hands of the people who are hurting you. It means you believe that no one can change your destiny except Allah, and so there is no need to fight every small battle with people. Instead of exhausting yourself with anger, you redirect that energy into acts of worship. When your tongue wants to answer back, you choose instead to recite words of remembrance. When your heart burns with pain, you turn it into a heartfelt supplication in your prayer. This is how patience and prayer work together. They transform your reaction into something that brings benefit rather than more harm. Prayer is not just a ritual. It is a lifeline. Every time you stand before Allah in prayer, you are reminding yourself that the one who controls the hearts of your enemies, the one who can reveal the truth, the one who can protect you from harm, is listening to you directly. In prayer, you can say everything you cannot say to people. You can pour out your heart without fear of being misunderstood. You can complain of the injustice you face, knowing that Allah never tires of listening and that He will respond in the most perfect way. Patience allows you to wait for that response without losing hope, and prayer keeps your hope alive while you wait. It is important to understand that patience is not passive. It does not mean you accept oppression or allow people to abuse you without reason. It means you do not let them pull you down to their level. You choose a higher path. Sometimes patience means you keep silent and walk away. Sometimes patience means you wait for Allah to expose falsehood instead of trying to do it yourself. Sometimes patience means you forgive for the sake of your own peace, even when you could seek revenge. In all cases, patience makes you stronger because it protects your heart from bitterness and your soul from falling into sin. In many places in the Qur'an, Allah commands believers to seek help through patience and prayer. This shows us that patience alone is not enough, and prayer alone is not enough. They must go hand in hand. Patience keeps you from reacting with anger, while prayer keeps you connected to Allah's guidance and mercy. Together, they allow you to endure hardship with dignity and faith. When the world is unfair, patience and prayer remind you that Allah's justice is coming. When lies spread about you, patience and prayer remind you that Allah will reveal the truth. When you feel weak, patience and prayer remind you that Allah is your strength. The beauty of patience and prayer is that they benefit you even before the situation is resolved. They bring calmness to your heart while you wait for Allah's plan to unfold. They give you resilience when others expect you to collapse. They make you shine with inner peace while others are consumed by anger and hatred. And when Allah finally brings relief, you emerge stronger, purer, and closer to Him than before. That is the hidden victory of patience and prayer. They not only protect you from your enemies, but also raise your own soul to a higher level. Trusting Allah brings peace to the heart in a way that nothing else can. Human beings often seek peace in the opinions of others, in clearing their names, or in trying to control every situation. But true tranquility only comes when you hand your affairs over to Allah. When you trust Him completely, you realize that people's words cannot harm you unless He allows it. Their actions cannot affect you beyond what He has decreed, and their judgments mean nothing compared to His judgment. This understanding frees you from constant worry about what people think or say, because you know that the only approval that truly matters is the approval of Allah. When someone attacks you, mocks you, or spreads lies about you, the heart naturally feels restless. You may replay their words in your mind, feel anger build up inside you, or spend sleepless nights wondering how to defend yourself. But when trust in Allah settles in your heart, all of that begins to fade. You remind yourself that Allah is aware of the truth, that He sees the injustice, and that He is more capable of dealing with it than you are. This surrender does not make you weaker. It makes you stronger, because you no longer fight battles that are not yours to fight. Instead, you hand them over to the Creator, who never fails His servants. Peace of heart comes when you remember that Allah controls every outcome. Sometimes you fear that falsehood will overpower truth, or that lies will destroy your reputation. But when you trust Allah, you know that He does not allow falsehood to last forever. He will either expose it in this world or hold those responsible accountable in the next. Either way, justice will be served. This certainty removes the anxiety of trying to fix everything yourself. You focus instead on what you can control: your faith, your patience, your worship, and your good character, while leaving what you cannot control to Allah. Trusting Allah also brings peace, because it shifts your focus from people to Him. People are inconsistent, their opinions change, and their judgments are often clouded by envy, ignorance, or misunderstanding. If you tie your peace to their approval, you will always be unstable. One day they praise you, the next they criticize you. But when your peace is tied to Allah, it becomes unshakable, because Allah's love and mercy are constant. He does not misjudge, He does not abandon, and He does not fail. Trust in Him allows you to walk through life with calmness, even when others misunderstand or mistreat you. This trust also brings gratitude into your heart. When you believe that Allah is in control, you learn to see even painful experiences as part of His plan. You begin to accept that delays, rejections, and losses are not signs of failure, but steps towards something better. You understand that Allah sometimes allows difficulties, so He can give you greater rewards, cleanse your sins, or strengthen your faith. This perspective transforms trials into opportunities for growth, and it brings peace because you no longer see life as random or unfair. You see it as purposeful and guided by Allah's wisdom. Another reason trust in Allah brings peace is that it teaches you to forgive. When you know that Allah is the ultimate judge, you do not feel the need to hold grudges or seek revenge. You can forgive people not because they deserve it, but because you trust Allah to deal with them. Forgiveness lightens your heart and removes the heavy burden of anger. It allows you to live with serenity while leaving justice to Allah. This is one of the greatest forms of inner peace, letting go of hatred and replacing it with trust in the one who never lets anything go unnoticed. In the end, trusting Allah is a shield for the believer. It guards the heart from fear, anxiety, and bitterness. It reminds you that you are never truly alone, even when the world turns against you. It allows you to remain calm when others expect you to break. It gives you courage to move forward without being held back by the opinions of people. And most importantly, it fills your heart with the kind of peace that only comes from knowing that your affairs are in the hands of the most merciful, the most just, and the most powerful. When Allah chooses to defend you, there is no force in existence that can harm you. His protection is absolute, His command is final, and His will is unstoppable. This reality should fill the heart of a believer with immense courage and peace. We live in a world where people often fear the power of others, their wealth, their status, their influence, or their numbers. But the truth is that none of these things can touch you if Allah has placed His shield over you. If Allah decides to cover you with His mercy, no slander, no jealousy, and no scheme will succeed against you. This is the essence of true security, knowing that the Creator Himself stands on your side. Think about how weak human power really is. People may plan and plot, but they do not control tomorrow. They do not even control their own hearts, their breaths, or their lives. How then can they control your destiny? When Allah defends you, their plots are dismantled, their words lose their effect, and their efforts backfire on them. This has been seen countless times in history and in the personal lives of believers. Enemies gather their strength, they attack with all they have, and yet Allah causes their own schemes to collapse, while elevating the one they tried to destroy. This is not because the believer fought harder, but because Allah chose to defend him. The Quran tells us clearly that Allah does not love the wrongdoers, and He protects those who are sincere to Him. This means that when someone attacks you unjustly, they are not only opposing you, they are opposing the protection of Allah, and no one can win against Allah. Their strength may terrify you for a moment, but when you remember who your defender is, fear turns into calm. You realize that their power is nothing compared to His. Even if the whole world stood against you, it would mean nothing if Allah has chosen to be on your side. When Allah defends you, He does it in ways that human beings cannot imagine. Sometimes He defends you by changing the hearts of your enemies, softening them so that they no longer wish to harm you. Sometimes He defends you by exposing their lies at the perfect moment, turning the very evidence they used against you into proof of your innocence. At other times He defends you by lifting you to such a high position that their attempts to disgrace you become irrelevant. And sometimes His defense is hidden, protecting you from harm that you never even knew was coming your way. In all of these ways, Allah's protection surrounds His servant in ways greater than any earthly defense could. This truth should teach us to stop fearing people and to start fearing only Allah. Too often, people change their behavior because of the opinions of others. They fear criticism, they fear being misunderstood, and they fear losing their reputation. But when you know that Allah is your defender, you stop living in fear of people's tongues. You realize that they cannot harm you unless Allah allows it. And if He allows it, then it is only for your growth and reward. This transforms fear into confidence. You walk with dignity, not because you trust yourself, but because you trust the one who defends you. Furthermore, when Allah defends you, your silence becomes louder than 1,000 words. People may expect you to retaliate, but your calmness confuses them. They expect you to collapse, but your peace frustrates them. What they do not realize is that your strength comes from a source beyond their reach. They cannot fight against Allah, and so their efforts against you are doomed to fail. This is why a believer should never panic when attacked, because panic comes from forgetting who your true protector is. Ultimately, the defense of Allah is a gift that comes with faith, sincerity, and patience. When you trust Him, when you turn to Him in prayer, and when you resist the urge to take matters into your own hands unjustly, He takes care of you in the most perfect way. And once Allah has taken charge of your defense, no one can touch you, no one can humiliate you, and no one can bring you down. His defense is the strongest shield, the firmest support, and the most complete protection. With Allah as your defender, you are never truly vulnerable, for His care surrounds you in every moment of your life.